Same day, new time here on Hawkeyes Live. Appreciate you being here. You know the deal. You can produce the show by leaving some comments and questions there in the chat. This is edition number 205 of Iowa Live. It's going to be at 5 Eastern, 4 p.m. where it counts going forward, because Corey and I will then sign off a few minutes to 5 Central and kick it around for the Big Ten Live show on Tuesdays. So that's going to be every Tuesdays following this show. You can just follow Corey and myself on the Big Ten Live show on the main channel here at the Voice of College Football. Corey, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. We got a tornado that moved through Story County here a few days ago. Didn't really do much damage, it doesn't sound like, but it was confirmed just on the outskirts of Ames. So it's that time of year, a lot of flooding in the area. I know people have been thinking about Texas for good reason over the last month, but Central Iowa really getting hit hard. There were some areas that had over 4 inches in a single day the other night. That's incredible. I mean, we think about that. I don't know what they say the equivalent is, like 9 inches for every inch, or a foot of snow for every inch of rain. I mean, think about that. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it's a lot of precipitation. The corn is doing pretty good. We should do a corn report. I used to do that when I worked radio. We used to have an ag report that we'd run in the afternoons.
Yeah.
You know about that on AM radio. Of course you got to run that.
Sure.
So we should do an ag report on here. You want a corn, especially if you get your gal Minnie on here.
I was just going to say, we could team you up with a Nebraska person, and it could be, now since Minnie lives in Arizona, she may know nothing about corn.
Well, Iowa has I believe the highest percentage of land taken up by corn, more so than Nebraska. See, Nebraska has a lot of dirt, just a lot of dirt.
We had a little contentious moment or two a few weeks ago when we were talking about the topography.
Yes, the topography. Yeah.
Yes, I made mention, or maybe somebody in the chat, I don't remember, that misstepped about the flat nature of land in Iowa.
Well, I urge anybody who hasn't been here to come check it out, and it's a beautiful time of year. I mean, with the exception being some floodwaters in certain areas, the corn is tall, it's tasseled, it's really healthy looking right now. So
it's funny, you should have been around. This would have been sometime last week. We had a South Carolina guy on during our national show, and for some reason Iowa was brought up. I think there was something involving recruiting or something, and there was a bit of a disparaging comment from the South Carolina guy about Iowa.
What? Who cares? What do they care about Iowa for? I mean, I'm trying to think of the last time Iowa played South Carolina. Would have been the Outback Bowl.
Yeah, he kicked them around.
2010. They did kick them around pretty good. Yeah. Adrian Claiborne, Sean Green and company. Yeah. Although I don't know, did Sean Green play in that game?
Some back had a big game.
That's a great man. I can't believe I'm drawing up. I think he did. I think he played in that game. Yeah, it would have been the 2010.
Somebody had a huge game. It was 31-10, I believe, was the final, or maybe 34-10, right. 31-10.
Yep, and was it Jake Garcia?
Well, it would have been Steven Garcia.
Who's Jake Garcia?
Jake Garcia is a Miami quarterback who transferred to Michigan.
Okay, I knew Garcia was right, but Jake Garcia was
Garcia might not have quite been. He had quite a run as the South Carolina quarterback after that.
But Iowa thrashed him that day. That was not much of a game, and that was back when bowl games were still fun. I love bowl games, but we've talked about it. We talk about it every year, but they were different back then.
Yeah, people really watch them like this is meaningful.
And the reason I think Sean Green played in that game is because it was after that backs, well, not just backs, but players started to opt out of bowl games. Guys were not doing that really until like mid 2010s.
Yes, the first year that I recall it being a big deal was Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey, which must have been the year after Iowa played McCaffrey's Rose Bowl. He didn't opt out of the Rose Bowl.
Too bad he didn't opt out the year before.
He opted out of whatever bowl game it was, Stanford, and then Leonard Fournette, LSU. And I remember that really being, not that no one had ever done it, but it really taking people back that, okay, two of the biggest stars in college football are opting out, and then it just cascaded from there.
Yeah. Hey, Big Ten Media Days kicked off today, Mark. I know we're going to talk about Big Ten Media Days on our Big Ten show. And Kirk Ferentz has not yet taken the stage. For people that don't know the schedule, he is set to go before the media on Thursday, 3-day event with the expanded Big Ten. So I think second year of that new format. And sounds like I saw Kelvin in the chat said something about Cignetti giving the SEC a hard time. I did not watch Kurt Cignetti's presser, but that doesn't surprise me. He seems like kind of a diva, not like not in a dramatic, like I'm going to be like a PJ or a James Franklin with attitude, but I can see how he sort of is a guy maybe who has a bit of a chip on his shoulder because he came in and won in year one. I wonder if we're going to see a different level of kind of like Brett Bielema. Like Brett Bielema came to Illinois, and even though he wasn't very successful early, now that he's won a little bit, and he's also got this history of coaching in the SEC and the Big Ten, he's not afraid to say what he wants to say.
Yes.
I wonder if Cignetti's going to feel that way after year one.
Well, any guy that grabs the mic at the basketball game when he first receives the job and basically screams into the mic.
That's true.
Screw you, Purdue. Purdue sucks. And then he goes, you know what? Ohio State sucks and Michigan sucks too.
Well, if you're Brian Kelly, you just go before the LSU basketball fans and act like you have a Southern drawl.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's fun.
And I'm not cutting down Kurt Cignetti. I think that's what Indiana needed. They needed a jolt of swag, like, okay, this guy's not going to take it from anyone, and he's going to energize us with a little confidence, a little swagger.
Well, Tom Allen was fairly energetic, wasn't he? He
wasn't energetic, yes. I don't know that Tom Allen would diss Ohio State not. Or Michigan like we're going to blow them out.
Right.
Now, obviously, Kurt Cignetti's team actually had to play Ohio State last year.
Yeah. I saw Ryan Day. Has he talked yet? I guess they wrapped it up here a little bit ago, didn't they?
Yes, he was supposed to talk today. I did not hear one word. This is not a great endorsement as the voice of college football, but I did not see 1 second from Big Ten Media Days today.
And we're doing our Big Ten live show in 35 minutes.
Yes, I'm going to be watching from the side and lip syncing.
Let's be honest. We're not going to get a lot from this coach speak that we're going to get in, especially day one. Now, after Kirk talks, I think next week we'll have maybe more material because we'll be able to get the whole sample of all 18 coaches.
And especially at this point, let's keep in mind, everyone that's watching, this is on the West Coast in Vegas. So they didn't start until like after 1 o'clock Eastern time, where it usually would have been like, I was there last year, the year before, they started like 9:15 in the morning local time. So by this time of the day, it was all wrapped up. But we just left our previous show, folks. And so again, Corey and I get together right after this show. We'll be on the main channel with the Big Ten Live show. But they were just in their break. So Minnie Hunt joined us. She had just heard the 5 coaches just give their opening remarks. So they had done no breakout sessions. It was still 1 in the afternoon there. So that's when it becomes more interesting, when you've got a group around the head coach.
Poolside.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
You get very little love from the Big Ten network broadcasts. As long as we don't have, actually, for the sake of our show and for discussion, I'd love to have another Deshawn Foster moment. That was last year, wasn't it?
Yes.
it seems longer ago than that. But I mean, I've seen some weird things. And I was watching that live, and I was just in shock. And I went back and watched it a few times after that. I've never seen somebody with all the time. He was the first guy up, all the time in the world to think about what he wants to say. He didn't look nervous. Like, that's what I keep going back to. Like, he didn't look nervous when he's standing up there. It's just like he had nothing to say. Just nothing to say. I don't know. He literally made a comment about how, we're in LA. It's USC and us. What are you talking about?
It was awkward and strange to watch.
Very strange.
And it's funny because it's like, okay, this is what that long plane ride was all about, Deshawn. Like, you were on a plane for a long time. Where did you think you were going, and what your responsibilities were going to be when you got there? Like, yeah, if you gave this no thought before your foot hit the stairs of the airplane, you had like 4 hours to think it over. You know.
By the way, Kelvin says that Day was quoted as saying that Lincoln Kleinholtz, or Keenholtz, I'm sorry, it's Keenholtz.
Yeah.
He spelled it Kleinholtz. Keenholtz is pushing for QB1.
Yeah, he might be. I started to hear that drummed up a little bit this week.
What would that look like? I thought he. I don't know much about. I don't know much about Keenholtz as a prospect. I can tell you from what I've seen in his spring film so far at Ohio State, he doesn't look like your typical Ohio State. And that's not a racial comment. Okay, make that very clear. Maybe he just isn't he more of a typical pocket passer? Not that they haven't had those. CJ Stroud, didn't run a lot, but that would look a little. Dwayne Haskins, that would look a little different in my mind. But yeah, maybe I'm a little bit short-sighted on that. I think that would be fascinating because there were rumors that he was going to hit the portal, and remember people thought he was coming to Iowa for a while.
Well, yeah, and before him it was Devin Brown, who did hit the portal, and he's going to be the starting quarterback at Cal.
He's at Cal, yeah. And the last quarterback from Ohio State that hit the portal was pretty successful where he ended up. So, which, by the way, where is what's his face from Syracuse?
Oh, Kyle McCord got drafted.
Yeah, where is he?
I don't know where he is. I don't remember who drafted him.
And remind me of where Will Howard is in the league.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting spot for him. What does that quarterback room look like? You got Aaron Rodgers, and then they got Mason Rudolph is still on the roster. That's a pretty old room. So you're looking at a room that might be Will Howard's in a couple of years. That would be interesting. I don't know if they see him as the future starter, but
yeah, they've had a pretty decent run of NFL quarter. Not that they've succeeded in the NFL, but they've been fairly of note going into the NFL. Obviously, CJ Stroud's career is off to a good start. Justin Fields was a first-round pick before him. Dwayne Haskins was a first-round pick before him.
And Dwayne Haskins was one of those quarterbacks was with Pittsburgh, correct? Haskins was with Washington.
Yes.
So anyways.
Back to Iowa.
Back to Iowa.
Guys.
I did talk about, when did I talk about this? A couple days ago, I talked a little bit about the Cash Herrera situation. And in doing research, I did discuss Luke Fehee. So it's interesting how all this kind of comes back around because he's a quarterback that Indiana was high on. And apparently he is just really ascending. And Ohio State offered and he committed. So he's Ohio State's 2026 guy, correct? Am I right in saying that?
Did I miss that?
No, Luke Fehee. Am I wrong on that?
Oh, you are right. I remember I do an Ohio State show every week. I should remember these things. You are correct. Yeah, we talked about him a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
But it sounds like that maybe had a role in Indiana pushing hard for Cash Herrera because as he ascended, it was thought that Ohio State would offer Fehee. Eventually they did. He committed there, and that's why Indiana had to go to option 2. Now, that's not to say Cash Herrera would not have, decided to go somewhere else. Otherwise, he was getting, he had UCLA and Cal and Louisville all contacting him after he committed to Iowa. But it sounds like Indiana was really the one that swayed him to want to take another visit, and eventually he committed there a week later. So, and we published a video here a couple of days ago on one of Iowa's recent commits, and that was, let's see here, Darien Jones, so the Omaha. And I had some Nebraska fans find their way into the comment section because I put on the title of my video, Ohio DB Darien Jones snubs Nebraska, commits to Iowa football. Okay, now let me just be very clear. When you come on to a post about a player picking another school over your school, when your school offered, and you talk about how a guy sucks, why did your head coach offer him, you dummy? Like, it's just like the fans that chant overrated when a team upsets a top 10 team. Why would you discount your win? Why are you taking away from the fact that your school offered the young man? And by the way, his Darien Jones his older brother, is a DB, young DB, redshirt freshman for Nebraska. So it sounds like maybe his dad grew up in the state of Iowa, so there's connections both ways. But that was a good win for Iowa. Good athlete, really aggressive corner. I think maybe we talked about him last week on this show, but that was a solid ad and one of those that could have went either way between Nebraska and Iowa. He had opportunities to go to Kansas State, Minnesota, had an offer from Arizona, took a visit down to Tucson. So that's a good win for Phil Parker's bunch.
Absolutely. Kelvin. That's Kelvin. I need to get the glasses. Kelvin letting us know that Bielema is quoted as saying that he worked under 4 college head coaches, all first ballot Hall of Famers, and threw Kirk into the mix, which is Kirk Ferentz already in the Hall of Fame. I know that active coaches can be in the Hall of Fame.
No, because remember his win percentage is like right at 59.5 or something.
Well, that got lowered. You heard the Mike Leach drama.
It did get lowered, or it was just talking about getting lowered?
They lowered it by 0.5%. Isn't that the most ridiculous thing? And this is nothing against Mike Leach, folks.
No, it's got nothing to do with Leach.
Yeah.
It's just stupid. It's just stupid.
Mike Leach should not be in the Hall of Fame.
Why do we have a requirement, a win percentage requirement anyways? That's what's stupid. That makes zero sense. If we're just going to change it when we don't like it, then what's the point of having it? We don't like it.
Now it's like this isn't obvious. Like his is 0.598. They made it 0.595 now. It is so stupid.
Well, that might fit Kirk because Kirk is hovering right around that. Yeah, that's ridiculous. But I mean, it is true. We've talked about that coaching tree with Bill Snyder and Barry Alvarez and obviously Hayden and Kirk. And I don't want to take away from Don Patterson. He's not going to get the recognition he deserves, but man, he turned Western Illinois into a conference winning program in the best conference in the FCS. And then they've just been horrid ever since. I mean, they've just been horrible. We talk about that every year. Western Illinois finally won a couple of games, I think, last year, and there were years where they couldn't win. They couldn't win a game.
Wait a minute. Bielema was on Don Patterson's staff?
Bielema was on Hayden's staff.
Oh, well, he was making the comment there that he has coached under 4 Hall of Fame head coaches.
Oh, I see.
That's how I read it.
Okay. I guess I read it differently. Yeah, I was thinking he just meant he's coached with 4 college head coaches that are first. I read that wrong. But yeah, I mean, you can go further if you just look at guys that were on the Iowa staffs back in the day. Bo Pelini, I think, was briefly on one of those staffs. Not that he fits into that same realm or that same mold, but anyways, what is Ben Hemmer doing in the chat? What? Okay, it's gone now. I see. It looks like you removed those comments. I'm trying to figure out what are we drinking today? I mean, it's only 4:20 in the afternoon in central Iowa, and I'm pretty sure Ben Hemmer's too young to drink. So might want to call the authorities if you're having a problem. Anyways.
Yeah, so we are supposed to be joined today by Marty Lee, formerly of Penn State Rivals, to talk about Penn State football as we continue our series. We'll see how far this series really goes since we've only done one team, and that's Iowa State, but opponents series.
Do we really want to be doing a preview of Iowa Penn State? That is going to be such an interesting game. I was reflecting the other day on an Iowa Ohio State game. Was it like 2021? One of those games. I somehow came across one of my preview videos where I'm talking about how big of a game it is. And I mean, I don't think I ever even predicted that Iowa would win any of the last 3 or 4. Well, I shouldn't say 4 matchups. No, probably not. I don't know the last time I predicted Iowa to beat an Ohio State. Maybe I had them beating Penn State a year or two ago, but that Penn State team may be the best team in the country. Now, when does the AP preseason top 25 come out, which we all know is tainted? When does that come
August 15th, something in that range.
Well, you need to come out with yours earlier. You need to be ahead of the curve. Why don't you come out with your preseason top 25 like next week?
Okay. So I did that probably last year because it was requested a number of times, but I let those people know I appreciate your request that you want me to do a preseason top 25, but you realize, because they would obviously add the tag to it, top 25, that actually makes sense. But I would let them know this kind of is contradictory to the entire philosophy that I have that it makes sense because we are ranking the teams based on the results on the field, meaning there are no results on the field. Therefore, how do these rankings make sense? And then I explained it to say, number one, it's been requested a number of times. So here we go. Number two, I'm going to try to make it make sense by just saying these were the team's accomplishments and their personnel last year. Here's what they gained. Here's what they lost, and try to make a logical deduction of where they should be ranked based on that.
By the way, I don't want to just throw it. I'm a Story County guy. Literally, we were just talking about tornado warning. Tornado warning just issued for about 10, 15 miles east of Ames until 5 p.m. So if you're in the Colo, Collins, Maxwell area of Story County, seek shelter, I guess. Man, weather has been crazy. We got a really mild May and June as far as tornadic action, and now all of a sudden, late July, we're getting hit hard. So
is that close enough to you that you need to?
No, it's nowhere close. It's moving northeast, and it is right now. It's southeast of us, so it's like I say, it's about 10, 15 miles to the east and moving northeast.
I will say, when you brought up rain early in the show, we have been doused with rain for the last 10 days or so.
That's like us. Yeah.
Tons of rain.
Yeah. We're at the point where we're oversaturated. I'm the type of guy who I kind of tongue in cheek earlier talking about agriculture, but growing up in Iowa, I am always interested in the crops and obviously love fishing. And so I'm always interested in water levels. The rivers are I flew into the Des Moines airport yesterday, and just the rivers and the river in Des Moines, the Des Moines River, is just incredibly high. So, Dave, I had to laugh at that last comment from Dave. He said, that's not a tornado. That's just Ames sucking. Okay. That's sort of funny. That's sort of funny. And I live in Ames, so I'll take that one. Anyways.
All right. Hopefully my, moderation of the chat is working. So we've had to go from removing comments to then timeouts and then the next step.
Yeah, let's not get ourselves blocked. I mean, Mark is the one running the show. Let's not get ourselves blocked. So don't be so much of an idiot that you get yourself blocked. Then you're not able to participate, and you're not going to be able to participate again on the channel. It's not just this stream. So be mindful of just not being rude and not being ridiculous.
Yeah. You can be critical. Absolutely.
I know it's
criticize our opinions, but
it's attention. It's attention seeking. But whatever.
Hey, James, I appreciate your comment, but why don't we table that for the next show, the Big Ten live show, because obviously that has nothing to do with Iowa.
So we are approaching the start of August, which means the start of fall camp. By the way, Iowa Media Day was announced. Maybe I mentioned this last week as well. August 9th, Kids Day is the 10th. And so we'll be there for both of those events. And just so people are aware, that means that, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. August 8th is Media Day, August 9th. So Friday, Saturday, it's that second weekend of August, which it usually is. Happens to coincide with the Iowa State Fair, which, Mark, I'm a big fan of. You ought to be coming up here you ought to be coming up here. But anyways.
And in the process, I would be passing about 38 other state fairs.
I am ashamed that you even made that comment. You ought to know better than that, Mark.
Because Iowa does it better than any.
Well, just come and experience it. You'll find out. But we do need to go back through the schedule. Like, I don't know if you want to do it pre-camp, but we do need to go back through the schedule at least prior to the start of camp and like a pre-camp schedule preview collectively. I know we're going team by team. And the other thing I want to do, we did it in the spring, so maybe don't go individual units, but we've got to talk camp battles. And maybe next week would be a good time to do it, week prior to start a fall camp. But there are a few camp battles that are going to be fascinating. Obviously, the big one people are going to be watching. I wouldn't call it a battle. I think Granowski's signed, sealed, and delivered as long as he stays healthy at quarterback. But I think behind him, I think QB2 is the interesting one, man. I've heard some interesting things over the last few days about one of these backups, and I won't talk about it here. I'll probably publish a video on it here in the next few days, but there's at least one backup quarterback who's been turning heads. I am convinced of this, and I know there's always going to be scuttle, and there's always going to be, blowharding, but I do think they are deeper at quarterback than they've been in probably 10 years at least. Has to be 10 years. I can't think of maybe ever under Kirk. And I know that sounds crazy. That doesn't mean I think they're going to have, like, Brad Banks is the best quarterback of the Kirk Ferentz era. All right. I'm not saying that Granowski's going to be better, but I'm just saying top to bottom, we've talked about the experience of some of these guys like Stratton, like Hank Brown at Auburn, like Heklinski. No, none of these guys were all conference players, but to have all these players with experience, I don't remember the last time where I said, hey, I'd probably at least be comfortable with any one of those 4 guys coming in and taking snaps. And I mean, how many times in the last few years, Mark, have we said, man, Kirk refuses to play the guy beneath Petrus or the guy beneath Stanley or the guy beneath, Deacon or Cade. So we don't know what we have there. I don't know that we can say that now. Even if none of these guys play, I don't know that we can say that. I at least have some level of confidence that if a guy like Hank Brown has to come in there and finish a second half for an injured Granowski, which you obviously just hope that doesn't happen, then they just need a healthy season at quarterback. But at that point, I do have a fair amount of confidence with a solid running back room, an offensive line that maybe take a step back, maybe initially on the ground game. I think they'll be better in pass pro. I think regardless of one of those 4 guys who is leading that team down the stretch, if they're playing with a lead in the second half of a game, I'm going to have a degree of confidence I haven't had in a long time, maybe ever.
Did you see that the BYU quarterback who got into some issues?
I did see that.
Of the honor code there, landed at Tulane, of course, with our buddy Brendan Sullivan.
Yeah, and he's walking on there, which I find interesting. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I guess it's because he was not technically in the portal. So he had enrolled at Tulane, and then so that's an interesting scenario, sort of similar to a wrestler who recently got dismissed from Iowa. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what that means. I mean, it's too late for Brendan Sullivan to do anything, and I don't know that he's one to run away from a competition because he could have left a year ago, and he chose to stick around. But yeah, I don't know who's projected to be the starter there. Is it Sullivan right now?
I would handicap that pretty much 50-50.
And is Tulane expected? I know you're not some G5 expert. Are they expected to be top of that conference again?
They are expected to be in the running for the playoff spot. Yeah, between Boise State, but Navy. A lot of people like Navy in the American Conference.
And Memphis is also probably in the mix, right?
Yeah.
And what's this deal with Memphis in the Big 12? I guess I haven't been following. I've gotten burned out on realignment. I saw Memphis posted something today about we're a proud member of the American Conference. And all the comments, of course, were ripping on them for not being good enough. So did the Big 12 turn them down, or what happened there?
That I don't know. Or maybe I would think that there's a rumor out there about Memphis moving to the Big 12, and they're wanting to combat that in the media. But maybe it's time for me to do a video.
Yeah.
It was just like a week ago that I was searching for something from a couple of years ago. And I was looking at my list of videos from this week, either 2 or 3 years ago, probably 2022. So 3 years ago, I had a run of like 30,000 view videos on realignment, like 6 or 7 straight.
I should have texted you when I saw that last night. You should probably get a video up about Memphis.
I
can see the title now. Big 12, too good for Memphis? Question mark. All caps, right? Hey, I use I capitalize my titles sometimes. I try to do it in moderation, but
yes,
some of these people get a little wild with their punctuation and their capitals and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I look forward to talking position battles, and I do think the flow of the schedule. We've discussed the schedule. I think the flow of the schedule is interesting. I don't know how many times we've said this, but if they can get by Iowa State, they have a chance at being unbeaten through the first month of the season. And I do think it changes the complexion of the year. And in the past, I've said that Iowa State game is maybe the least important. In fact, I think I've said that to you. Like last year, I said I'd rather lose the Iowa State game over other games. Heart of hearts, I don't wish that. From a perspective of making it to the Big Ten championship game, yeah, that's kind of the context there. But I actually think this year that game is more important than it has been, just because I have more confidence that Iowa State's going to be good. Like I didn't know last year. I wasn't sure, and they ended up being pretty darn good. This year, I have a good amount of confidence. Maybe they'll fail like they did in 2019 or 2021 when they were projected to be really good coming off that New Year's Six Bowl game appearance. But I think if they can get a win in Ames, that will really carry them. And to see a guy like Granowski come in and do that in his first year, his only year as a Power 5 QB, there's questions about his health. The game's early in the season. It's going to be hot. Not that that's going to have an impact with the injury that he's coming off of, but man, that's going to be fun. Jack Trice is going to be that is a fun game. We've talked about the rivalry up and down. We had Levi Stevenson on here a couple of weeks ago, but that is the type of game. If anybody's not been to a college football game, go to an Iowa State game. It's fun.
I would like to do that someday.
Come up to town, Mark. Come up. Just come up to town in August and stay for a whole month. You'll get the Iowa State Fair, you'll get Iowa Media Days, and you'll get the Cyhawk game, and you can go back to Florida after that. What do you got? I mean, what do you got to lose?
Stay for a month.
You're not getting any younger, Mark.
like I'm not going to have opportunity to do this 5 years from now.
For somebody who's not from the state, I would probably recommend you go to Kinnick before Jack Trice. But I like Jack Trice, going to Jack Trice for that game. It's right here. I like the fact that Iowa comes to town and I don't have to drive to Iowa City.
And they still play on real grass.
They do. Yeah. And Iowa has had their number in Ames for the most part. They've been close games, but Iowa's had their number. This may be the year all that changes. Don't you just think the odds eventually are going to swing back to Iowa State? Like, they're good. They're at home. Like, at some point they're going to start winning again in Ames.
If they stay this good. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying they've been good a couple of these other, like in 2021, they were supposed to be good. They got beat. Last year, they were good. They still got beat, or 2 years ago, I mean, that game in Jack Trice. So I don't know. That was a team that lost to Ohio, right? On the road, not Ohio State, but Ohio. So yeah, maybe that'll be the first time in how many years that they will go to Iowa City or to Ames and lose. But that's always a fun one. It's always a hot one, always a good tailgating day. So that'll be a fun day.
I was a bit surprised. I think it was attached to that conversation with Levi, but other conversations about Iowa State, and then the overall national conversation about scheduling and how many conference games each conference should play. That the attachment to this Iowa State rivalry isn't as strong as I thought it was.
Well, from Levi's perspective, or from
a lot of Iowa fans who say, you know what, we can do without them.
But I don't think Iowa State fans feel that way. I don't think Iowa State fans want that game to go away. I don't think Iowa State fans who are objective, like, can we agree, Mark? The rivalry game does more for Iowa State's schedule, significantly more for Iowa State's schedule than it does for Iowa's schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an Iowa State team that doesn't play anybody else from the SEC and the Big Ten all year round. Iowa plays 9 teams in the Big Ten, plus whoever they get postseason. They don't need an Iowa State in the schedule. They could play Arizona year in and year out and basically have just as difficult of a game. Now, Kirk's not going to do that because he doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to cross 2 time zones. I get that. He's got to do it anyways in conference play, but he's not going to go out of his way to do it anymore. He used to. But there are other teams in the country that I think fans would like to see Iowa play. Hey, I'd like to see Iowa play another team from the Big 12, maybe a Texas Tech or a Baylor or a Kansas State. I think that would be fun and interesting. I do think Iowa and Iowa State will stick for the coming years. I think most of that's just talk. I think there's a lot of economic benefit to that game happening in each area and just across the state the week of. So I think I know things have changed a lot, but with the overall culture that is Iowa, I see that game sticking. But I went back and forth. I remember maybe 4 years ago when I first launched this platform, or my platform, I should say. I remember that was a subject I addressed. Should Iowa hold on to the rivalry? And I said at the time, hey, it's not really doing Iowa much good. That would have been after Iowa beat them in 21 and Iowa State kind of took a dip. Remember, they had the good 2020 during COVID, kind of dipped in 21 when they were supposed to be good. And I was kind of at the point where it's like, hey, this program's not sustainable. And I'll give Matt Campbell credit. He's brought him back. It seems like he's brought him back. But if we're going based on recent history, this is the year where they go back down. when we expect them to be good, they end up not being as good. So we'll see. I loved the conversation we had with Levi here a few weeks ago about Granowski versus Beck. What do you have any comments on that? Like, I'm guessing you would probably favor, if you were putting those two up against one another with their current resumes, you would probably favor Beck just because he's done it at the Power 4 level.
Yes.
Although he's done it at the he's done it at the Big 12 level. Okay. He has not done it at the Big 10 or the SEC. So we agree those are two different Big 12 ACC, Big 10 SEC.
Sure.
So there is a difference there. I think we use the term Power 4 a little bit too loosely. There should be a term like Power 2+2 now. But as far as Granowski is concerned, if you had to rate each guy on a scale of 1 to 100 based on expectations and heading into this year, where would you rate each guy?
Well, I've never seen Granowski play.
I know.
I'm simply going by scouting reports and expectations. And obviously, if Iowa signs him to play in the Big Ten, then they have made an evaluation of how good he is.
How can you not? Can I ask this question? How do you go the entire offseason and you've not at least gone back and watched a few highlight reels, some South Dakota State highlights, and to get a feel on this guy?
I've never seen him throw a pass.
Well, I know you haven't. My question is why? I'm asking if I'm not challenging your honesty here. I'm asking.
How I approach the job. I'll see him play. I will see him play against Iowa State.
So you're
I'm
not
sure
gonna
I'll watch highlights against Albany.
Oh, so you'd rather watch Iowa, Albany than you would South Dakota State, North Dakota State?
Well, it's going to be like a current game.
I understand, but they're playing against an inferior FCS opponent. Whereas their North Dakota State's, for instance, is a team that could easily play in the Power 4.
But we could apply this Mark Granowski situation to other players across the nation.
Sure, I get that.
I would need to.
Well, he was the Heisman level, the equivalent of the Heisman winner at the FCS level, 2 years ago. So
Max Bromer played well in the Big Ten in Minnesota. And Minnesota's current starting quarterback, the expected starter, Drake Lindsey, followed Max Bromer from New Hampshire.
That's interesting, isn't it? That you get two players, and that's not even New Hampshire's not some power in the FCS. I don't even know what conference they play in. I don't know what their recent history shows, but that's a unique thing, and that, some of that is just I think style, fit. I bring up Cam Ward. I know he's a bit of an anomaly, but what was Incarnate Word before Cam Ward? I don't know that Incarnate Word was any level of a FCS power. There's plenty of FCS schools down in Texas, and they weren't one of them. That was be considered even a power at that level. He transfers to Wazoo and he ends up at Miami. And he's a top draft pick. So there are guys that find their way in every sport from a no-name school that were, they were just overlooked at the high school level. And so, yeah, I mean, if PJ can hit twice on two quarterbacks from the same school, I don't know. That's sort of like you. I've never seen the kid throw a ball, but I'll have to see it to believe it, because that would be pretty unique to get two guys from New Hampshire playing the same position and doing it as well as Bromer did last year.
Yeah. I did not scout him prior to his first game with Minnesota. I didn't scramble to jump on YouTube to evaluate Max Bromer.
I'm just looking to see real quick if we have a update on this tornado warning. And I'm not seeing anything right now. So it looks like perhaps that has been canceled. I don't want to report any misinformation, but I'm not seeing any current alert it's been canceled. So thank you to the National Weather Service for updating that. They have canceled that about 30 minutes prior to its initial expiration time of 5 p.m. Central Time. So radar indicated no confirmed tornado, I don't believe. Ozzy Osborne died today, Mark. Ozzy Osborne. Was that expected? I'm not a rock guy, but was that pretty unexpected?
I don't know. 76.
Yeah. Thoughts go out to his family. Sharon Osborne is really the only Osborne I ever knew. I don't know why I knew about her. Pop culture or whatever. I never listened to. I shouldn't say I never listened to Ozzy. There's some iconic songs that you hear at sporting events and whatnot. So
they had a reality show together. That's when she became famous.
I didn't really watch.
Yeah, they had a reality show with their
Okay.
kids.
Gotcha. All right. Interesting. That must have been. What are some of the songs that isn't Crazy Train an Aussie song?
Oh man, you're gonna quiz me on Ozzy Osbourne.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
but
not the one.
This is you're not the one.
I am
This
not
is
the one to quiz.
Crazy Train is probably the one that gets played. I mean, that's constantly being played at Kinnick. So this is Iowa related, the fact that Ozzy Osbourne died. So hopefully we'll keep hearing those Crazy Train lyrics at Kinnick Stadium for the years to come. But again, thoughts out to his family.
Yes. If I attempted to name Ozzy Osbourne songs, I would merely upset people or offend people by naming songs that aren't his songs.
Yeah. Yeah. They were huge though.
Sure. Yeah. If you played me a run of Ozzy Osbourne songs, I would know them, but I don't know which ones are.
And technically speaking, he was with Black Sabbath, right? I mean, most of those were when he was part of Black Sabbath. So,
yeah.
But when a guy becomes bigger, his name becomes almost bigger than the band he was in. That probably means he's, a Hall of Famer. And I don't know. He had to have been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame years ago, right?
I would think so.
Be a injustice if that hadn't happened.
I don't know how legitimate the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is.
Have you ever looked through who's in that?
Yes.
It's amazing.
I've seen the people that have been inducted and the people that have not been inducted, and it makes no sense to me in many accounts.
Well, it's really not about rock music. I think we need to establish that right away. It's about music in general. So the term rock and roll,
popular music, pop music, rock.
Well, not even that, Mark. Not everything is. I mean, like Kool and the Gang got inducted into the Hall of Fame. Okay, I'll find one that's not. I mean, why is Willie Nelson in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? He's country. I mean, he's not pop. He was country. He was classic country. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you got me.
Like Eminem. I mean, he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's not. I mean, you could say some of Eminem's stuff is pop, but it's rap. So Jay-Z is in the Hall of Fame. And I have respect for what some of these people do, but it just makes you change how you look at that Hall of Fame. Joan Baez, Mark.
Is
Forever
not
Young. No, she's in there.
Okay.
Forever Young.
I would think she is.
Yeah. We could just run through everybody in the rock and we're week of Big Ten Media Days. And we're just running through the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
And we could give our analysis of their careers.
Yeah, and I saw the younger Cosby son also passed away at 53, which was really sad. I didn't know. I don't know the backstory on that, if he was sick or what, but always sad to see, especially at that age, way too young.
Yeah. For sure. Well, we better make our transition here. We might as well now, since we don't have a whole lot going on. But I do want to emphasize what Corey brought up a few minutes ago, that we will dive into position battles next week. So make it on back next Tuesday for the Hawkeyes live show. And keep in mind that it will be going forward at 4 Central Time on Tuesdays. Not 4:30, but 4 Central. And we will dive into position battles. And I guess if Kirk says something just completely outrageous on Thursday, that will still be relevant on Tuesday, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, that's definitely that definitely fits his persona, saying something outrageous in July. only if an Ohio Cleveland.com writer shows up and starts grilling him on Brian Ferentz. Now, is Brian, real quick before we wrap this up, I'm assuming Brian's still at Fresno State. I have not heard anything about Brian not being at Fresno State, right?
No, I have not.
Because he was at Maryland. I hate to say this, I haven't been keeping track of where he's ended up, but Matt Entz is the head coach at Fresno State, and Brian Ferentz is currently the tight ends coach. So I don't know anything about Fresno State tight ends, but he's still there.
All right. Well, everyone, we are going to head on over to the main channel at the Voice of College Football. and it is a big relaunch of the Big Ten Live show. So join us in about 5 minutes.
And real quick, Mark, before you hit the end button, if people, I know we've got some older ones that sometimes aren't the best with technology. I'm going to throw the link up in the chat right now so people can just. Whoops! I just hit the wrong link. Let me try that again. Let's hit the right link. I put the StreamYard link in there as well. Now, are we taking calls today? Because we are going to be taking calls certain shows.
We can.
We don't have to.
I don't know that we're going to have that much time.
Let me do this. See, now I'm looking like the person that doesn't know technology. Let me real quickly head over to the link so I can grab that, and I'll throw it up in the chat just so everybody has it. And you still have the Big Ten Voice of College Football channel as well.
We do.
So people can listen over there, but I know you're trying to drive traffic to the main channel. So here's the link, folks. If people want to watch on YouTube, just click that, and we'll be over there here in a few minutes.